Hey mamas, it's your girl Carrie, and welcome back to Mom Life Career Life. So today, let's talk about that little phrase that we hear all the time, that I actually talk about all the time: work-life balance. When most people hear it, they immediately picture that classic balance scale, the one: work on one side, life on the other, and the goal is to keep them perfectly even. Well, I'm here to say that image is completely broken, it's outdated, and honestly, it sets us up for failure and for a lot of guilt. Because here's the truth: your job is not and should never carry the same weight as your entire life. That's not balance. That's burnout disguised as productivity. And not to be morbid, but sometimes we have to go there in order to get our mindset in check. When you start to think about the end of your life and the moment that you're going to be faced with the end of your life, what do you want to remember? Do you want to look back and say, wow, I never missed a meeting, I nailed that quarterly report, or I made my company so much money? Or do you want to remember the trips you took, the memories you made, the time your family cheered you on when you conquered your fear of heights and finally jumped into the snow days? My favorite memory from Mexico. See, that scale doesn't work, but you know what does? Stones. Balancing stones. And we're going to get into that today. But if hearing all this makes your chest feel a little tight because deep down your stones are out of order, you're not alone. And that's exactly why I offer my one-to-one coaching to help moms like you create the rhythm that works, that priorities that just feel good, and finally put the most important stones back in the foundation where they belong. And if you're tired of juggling and you're ready to feel more at peace and more presence, I'd love to walk alongside you. You can check out all the information on my coaching in the show notes. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to juggle all the many hats you wear as a working mom? Do you want more quality time with your family without distraction of work and time alone to take care of yourself and your needs? Welcome to Mom Wife Career Life. I'm Carrie, a wife, mom of 3, and a recovering perfectionist. In this podcast, I will teach you how to create balance in your life by implementing healthy habits, organizing your home and your schedule, being intentional with your time and in your relationships, and most importantly, how to start putting your needs first, because no one can pour from an empty cup. Grab that second cup of coffee, or if you're anything like me, your third. It's time to dive into today's episode of Mom Wife Career Life. If you've been around the time management or coaching world for more than 5 minutes, you've probably heard people say that there's no such thing as work-life balance. And they throw in words like work-life harmony or work-life blend. And listen, I totally get where they're coming from. We all have our way of describing what a fulfilling life outside of work should look like. But here's the truth: no matter what cute phrase you slap on it, it all comes down to one thing: balance. Not the scale kind of balance, because that does not work, but the intentional, thoughtful kind, like balancing stones. This is the analogy that I teach my clients, and it really helps you shift your mindset. Just picture those beautiful rock stacks that you see when you're at the beach or on a hike. Each stone is a different size, different shape. Some are massive, some are small. And yet, when they're carefully placed, they create something stable and even so beautiful. That's balance, not equal weight, but intentional placement. Your stones, they're the hats that you wear in life, the roles, the values, the things you hold closest. Some stones are heavier, like work. It takes up hours of your week, but just because it's a big stone does not mean it belongs on the bottom. The foundation, that base stone, should be what you value most, what matters to you most. So how do you identify your stones? How do you know which are the stones that you're even stacking? You're going to start by asking yourself, what roles and values do I hold in my life? And here are some of mine, and I'm guessing a lot of you will relate: my kids and my family, my marriage, my spirituality, my health, serving my community, work, even though I don't put my day job on there, my podcast, my coaching business, house maintenance, even though, again, no one really wants to put that on there, but it's something that has to get done, or your house inside and out is just going to fall apart. But here's the thing: you can't just randomly toss these stones into a pile and hope that they create balance. You have to be intentional about which one goes first. So let's talk about that bottom stone, the one that carries all the weight. For most of us, it's going to be your family. It's one of your strongest values. If you're listening to this podcast, I know that about you already. And it's what you want your legacy to be. Think about it. When you're gone, your kids aren't going to remember that you hit every work deadline. They're going to remember the way that you made them feel, the traditions you created, the way you showed up when they needed you the most. And that doesn't mean Family time is always going to be this glowing, perfect highlight reel. Sometimes it's you falling asleep on the couch during a family movie night. Been there, done that a lot. Sometimes it's cereal for dinner. Zero judgment there. Sometimes it's laughing so hard in the carpool line that your kid rolls their eyes, but secretly love it. That's the good stuff. That's the foundation. For me, my bottom stone, the one everything else rests on, is my family. That's my non-negotiable. Everything else, career, podcast, housework, sits on top of that stone. Now, let's talk about the other stones, especially the big ones. And the first one we're talking about is work, because it's the first one in work-life balance, because it holds that much weight in our lives. We need that paycheck. But work, it is one of the biggest stones because it takes up such a big part of our week. But here's the thing, big does not equal foundation. Just because it's heavy doesn't mean it belongs at the bottom of your stack. It has to sit on top of what matters most. And yes, work matters, like I said. And for some of you, if you're really lucky, your work is actually something that you truly enjoy. It gives you purpose and energy outside of motherhood. But for others, it's simply a paycheck, a way to provide for your families in this season of life that you're in. But if that big work stone starts pressing down so hard that the others wobble or crack, that's your sign. That's when it's time to take a step back, shift things around, and make sure it's not outweighing what really belongs on that base. The next stone is marriage, and marriage can be a very tricky stone. Too often, it gets pushed higher up on the stack than it should be, buried under kids' schedules, house projects, work deadlines. But the truth is, your partnership needs care too. Marriage isn't a when I have time stone, it's a priority stone, because when your marriage is strong, it steadies that whole stack. And when it's neglected, everything else is going to start to wobble. And here's the thing, it doesn't always have to look like the candlelight dinners or the grand gestures. Sometimes it's a grocery store run together without the kids. Sometimes it's laughing in the kitchen where you're both unloading the dishwasher. Sometimes it's carving out an actual date night, even if it's just take out on the couch. And take advantage of this one when your kids are little and actually go to bed before you. These small moments matter, and they are what keeps the marriage stone steady. And if your kids are older and you can get a babysitter, go out on a real date. Russ and I just went to the city this weekend. We did a little bar hopping, and then we went to a concert at Radio City, which is my second favorite venue next to Red Rocks. And it was such just a great, long overdue night. So I highly recommend this. It really steadied that marriage stone for me. The next is spirituality and serving. For me, these stones remind me of purpose beyond myself. Whether it's faith, service, or giving back, these stones connect you to something bigger than your to-do list. And without getting too deep, the stone can be as simple as just being kind to everyone you encounter, being self-aware of how your interactions affect others, and working on improving yourself every day. Going to church or mass or some type of service, but not stopping there. It's taking the teachings and the values of your religion and embodying those values in your everyday life, in all of your interactions. Part of my morning prayer is asking God to fill me with His light and allow it to shine through in my thoughts, in my actions, in my interactions, in my words, and in helping me, guiding me to be a better person than I was yesterday. And another huge part of this stone for me is gratitude. There are so many times throughout the day that I am literally thanking God for something. The weather, the beautiful tree that caught my eye on my morning walk, that the kids got up and out the door without an issue this morning. Gratitude is just so ingrained in my day that even on the worst days, I can find something to be grateful for. And sometimes it's something that simple that really helps stabilize the wobble of the other stones when they feel shaky. Another stone for me is this podcast, and it could be your passion projects or a hobby that you love. Your passion projects or hobby, they're the stones that are often way smaller in size, but so big in meaning. Maybe it is a side hustle or a creative outlet or simply something that's just for you. And these stones matter because they're what light you up beside your family. They remind you that you're more than just your family's calendar keeper, snack distributor, carpool coordinator. And passion projects are the pieces of your stack that whisper, hey, you're still you. They give you energy, they're your creative outlet, and they hopefully bring you joy that spills out over into the other stones. The next stone, hate talking about this one, but house maintenance. And it is a stone, unfortunately. And it's not one that we could just toss out of the stack, even though most of us wish we could hand it off permanently. But here's your reminder. It does not belong at the bottom, because if the floors are shiny and the laundry's folded, but you haven't spent any quality time as a family this week, then your stones are upside down. A clean house can support your life, but it should never outweigh living your life. There, I said it. I love a clean house, but family comes first. And the last, but absolutely not least, is health and self-care. So health and self-care are really two sides of the same stone to me. And honestly, they belong closer to the bottom of the stack than most of us really tend to put them, because when your health wobbles or when you're running on empty with zero margin for yourself, everything else is going to feel shaky and it might just fall apart. Now, taking care of yourself doesn't have to look like you're overhauling your entire lifestyle overnight. It's the little things that add up. The drinking more water, going for a walk, booking the checkup you've been putting off, or just getting to bed 30 minutes earlier. That's health in action. And self-care, sometimes it's 10 quiet minutes with your coffee before the house wakes up. Sometimes it's saying no to one more commitment so that you can actually breathe. The episode I did on the glass balls, let the rubber balls bounce. That is self-care. And sometimes it's a nap, a laugh with a friend, or even just that bubble bath with the locked door. Take the bath. I'm saying this to myself because I think it's been over a month since I've taken a bath, and I look at my bathtub every day and I'm just like, I need to be in there. But when you prioritize your health and self-care, even in small, doable ways, you give yourself strength and stability to everything else in your life. So those are some of my biggest rocks, and yours may be the same or a little different, but here's the fun part. Sometimes the smallest stones take priority. Think about it. A 20-minute walk outside, that one-on-one coffee date with your teen, reading bedtime stories, even though the laundry isn't folded, those tiny stones are what often bring the biggest stability and the biggest joy. It's not about the size, it's about placement. Okay, so how do we keep this delicate rock tower from crashing down? Here are 3 simple tips. First, rebuild regularly. Life changes, kids grow, jobs shift. What worked this week may not work next week. Maybe you have a huge deadline at work this week, so work has to take the priority over home maintenance. Maybe you get sick and you need to shuffle the stones around a bit because you need to make your health the main priority this week. Maybe you feel disconnected with your partner and you realize you haven't had quality time alone in weeks. Give yourself permission to restack your stones when you need them. Number 2, check the base. If everything feels off, look at your foundation. Are you living in line with your values? Or has something else slipped to the bottom where it doesn't belong? And usually that's work. Number 3, accept the wobble. No stack is going to be perfectly still. Some days the stones are going to wobble, but that does not mean you're failing. It means that you're human. And if you feel it wobbling, go back to 1 and 2. You need to rebuild regularly and check what your priorities are. So mamas, I know I gave you a challenge yesterday, but I wanted to give you another one today. I want you to grab your notebook and write down what your stones are. Which ones are your biggest? Which one is your foundation? And where might you need to do some restacking? Because balance, it's not about perfection. It's about intention. And when you choose your stones carefully, you can build a life that's stable, that's beautiful, and that's uniquely yours. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share with a friend or in one of your Facebook mama groups that you're in. Remember, your life is not a scale. It's a stack of stones. Build it with intention, build it with love, and don't forget to stop and admire how beautiful and strong it already is. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Carrie Pat. Before you go, if you found this podcast helpful, I would be so grateful if you would take a minute, go on over to iTunes and leave me a review. If you have other stressed out mamas in your life that you feel this podcast could help, take a screenshot of this episode, post it on your Instagram stories and tag me, and let them know that they are not alone and they can create balance in their life too. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover or you just want to connect, DM me on Instagram at mom.wife.career.life or come on over and hang out in our free Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Carrie Pat.